Good morning. It's 11 o'clock, and I'm going to call to order the Electric Utility Board at 11 a.m. on October 17th. Is there anybody signed up for public comment? Nobody wanted to see us today. Okay. Is the mayor here today?
She is.
Does she want to sit up here? Or?
Yeah, you read that.
Just so you find my script. I'm looking for my.
Yes, I am there. For some reason, you needed beauty this morning, and I showed. But I would like to call the city council meeting to order at this time on today's date. What is today?
17th.
10/17 at 11:01.
Thank you very much. Since there's no one to speak at the public comment portion, we are now going to recess into executive session in accordance with VTCA Government Code 551.086 on competitive matters of LP&L and VTCA Government Code 551.071 seeking advice of and consultation with LPL's attorneys on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with Chapter 551 of the Government Code and seeking advice of its attorneys about pending or contemplated litigation or settlement offers, and VTCA Government Code 551.074 to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, and/or duties of a public officer or employee, Electric Utility Board, Director of Electric Utilities, Chief Administrative Officer, and General Counsel.
The City Council will hold an executive session today for the purpose of consulting with the city staff regarding competitive matters of the public power utilities under Section 551.086 of the Texas Government Code and pending or contemplated litigation or settlement offers, and hold a consultation with attorney under Section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code and personal matters under Section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code.
Great, it's 11:02, so let's head into executive session right next door, correct? Oh, we're going up? Upstairs? Oh, sorry, tricked you. Upstairs on the second floor. It is now 12:43. I'm going to call the board back into regular session after the completion of executive session. And the first thing is to approve the minutes of the September 19th meeting and the special electric utility board on October 3rd. So there's two sets of minutes. Do I hear a motion to that effect? Been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The motion carries 8-0, because you have his proxy. Yes. Okay, all right. Number 8, Joel, that's you. You're on board.
Unfortunately, it's my turn. I just would draw everybody's attention to our filing before the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. Everything's going just the way that we had planned and hoped. We're looking forward to the date of October 30th, which would be the last opportunity anybody would have to make comments about the filing that we've got at the FERC. The only people really that would be in standing to make such a filing are the people that are already participating and who have already unanimously agreed with what it is we're doing. So we expect no filings whatsoever. On the day following that, we are free to pursue our own interests, and without any further filings at FERC or anything else, it's just done, and we're able to pursue. So based on that, we're working with ERCOT to say we want to transition these customers from SPP to ERCOT on the week of December 11th. So it'll probably take a few days to get everybody done because it's smaller sections of customers at a time that we're doing than the previous one. But we're working with ERCOT. We'll be doing a filing with the PUC probably next month to give them more of the details of what it is that we're doing. We don't need their approval or anything else. This is just informational type filing that we're doing. And then we're looking forward to March 4th to start the transition of customers into retail competition. I don't really see anything holding us up to be able to meet those deadlines. Now that I've said that, something will come along, but we're really hoping that goes well. Once we get past the October 30th date, these dates will become firm.
Any questions of Joel about those, October 30th, and then the transition the week of December 11th, and then the window starting January 4th for sign-up?
Yeah, customer choice, right.
Yes, customer choice.
Thank you. I did not say that, but I did mean to put that in, so thank you for that add. The customer choice period will begin in January for REPs to start signing customers up. They will not start serving them, though, until the transition in March and April. The other thing I wanted to bring up, ERCOT recently put out an RFP for mothball generators and distributed generators to be able to participate in the market this winter at an elevated price in order to try to make that worthwhile for the participants. We are opting to not participate. It doesn't really seem to make sense for us for a lot of reasons. We've not sought to continue to insure the generators, so we'd have to go self-insured. And that just doesn't work on some of our generators at all. Now, one of our generating stations, Ty Cook, cannot be connected to the transmission grid anyway. And then that would leave our Massengale generator. And honestly, it just, for the one generator, for the once-a-year opportunity to participate this winter, it just doesn't make sense to reinstate everything that we've been trying to cut out for the last 5 months. So we are opting to not participate in that RFP, and we will let ERCOT know here shortly that we're not going to be participating in that. And that means we're just going to commence with, or continue with the shutting down of the generators, draining, and do everything we need to do to get those ready for whatever their next step is, selling, demolishing, whatever. Okay? Any questions on that? Happy to entertain. And at this point, I asked Matt to be ready to come up and give a kind of a presentation and talk with the board about, now that we've got a pretty good idea about retail choice, some of the activities that we're going to be involved in and presentations that we're doing and informational outreach and this kind of thing. So if Matt, go on up and give us his rendition of how we're going to sort of restart what we had to put on hold for a while there.
Matt's going to have his roller skates on the next couple of months, right?
It's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be busy. Okay, so I've got a number of slides here, and as I normally do, I'm going to move pretty quickly through them because some of these y'all have seen before. It's just kind of a reminder of how we're presenting these things to the public. So starting off, you've seen this map, this Journey to Competition map that's front and center on our website. This has now been updated online to kind of contain generally the schedule that we have going forward. As we've talked about, we're just about to the point where we can put the reps up on the website, which is a big step for us. So when we do that, we'll be rearranging some things on the website. But information that's up there currently is going to stay there. We're just adding to it, rearranging so folks get to where it's important first. You've seen this before. This is kind of the Gantt chart running out through March of 2024 that's been adjusted. But really, I wanted to show you this because I think this is a little bit better graphic to walk through. This is not all of the ways that we are communicating, but these are the main ways that we're communicating. And it's all the things we talked about before, running all the way down to the open houses and the shopping periods at the bottom in January and February, where customers can come and actually meet providers and sign up on the spot. We'll be doing all sorts of messaging, advertising about this going forward so folks know. If you look at this sheet, we talked about it before, there's 3 different types of media, and then there's community engagement. We're actively engaged in all of those. I put an old slide up there on accident that was supposed to say that there were 4 community group presentations in September, but those will obviously be multiplying as we go through November and December and January. Council members are going to start hosting district town hall meetings, which is a good way to get folks out that won't normally come to our events. They were very successful in the spring going into the summer, so we're going to utilize those again. And I don't know necessarily that we need to just do them in November and December. I think we can have district meetings through the shopping window that will be effective, where council members can call them, we can advertise them. I can go out and explain this, and at that point say, go home and do. So we'll continue to hold those types of public events going through. When you look at just two areas of owned media and earned media, meaning our resources and then news stories, I put this up here because I just wanted to show that if you go to the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see that in those spring months, you'll see where the media stories ticked way up. You'll also see on the other chart where it shows it that we just had a record number of news stories. Not all of those are local, but I anticipate as we go through the next 2 months that you're going to see this type of a jump in page views, in news stories. Just really hoping as we get closer to this that we've just got kind of wall-to-wall coverage as much as we possibly can. I'm going to skip over this because that really explained it previously. I highlight this to say, even though the communications slowed down before this ramp up, you still have higher percentages every month going to our website, and they're going to the right pages, being ERCOT, retail competition, customer education. So even without us doing a ton of pushing this outside, folks are still coming and getting the information, which is good. Again, we're going to have all of the information up on our website, including schedules for when folks can come out and go to different events. That was shown there. That was up there in the spring. We're going to have something very similar up front so people can go on there. So, you know, when people call on the call center and say, where can I go learn about this? This is an area where CSR can direct them and say, there's a list on our website of events that are open to the public for you to go to. If I speak to Rotary or Kiwanis or one of these types of groups, I'm obviously not going to invite the public, but anywhere that I can, I will. Texas Tech has also offered to host us a number of informational sessions for faculty and for their students. So we'll take advantage of that. We've got animated videos. We have a new one that's more in-depth that we'll be putting out this month that goes into not only how to step-by-step shop, but things that you need to look for, including the electricity facts label where you see all your fee structures from your new provider. As always, we encourage folks to follow us on social media, and we're seeing a good viewership or followership growing over the last couple of months. I highlight this. We ran a paid media campaign really through the end of the summer. Early on, it was focused on competition. Towards the end, we switched it up with a little bit of our normal energy efficiency education, but we just placed another one that'll run through March. And so we'll have television, radio, we'll have web banners, print ads in the paper, and El Editor, all of the different areas that we can buy advertising. We bought it so that we can run these things. It's not going to be talking about changing air filters, but it'll be redirecting people to our website where they can get onto the Power to Choose. I just remind everybody that if you send folks to our website, they can get anywhere they need to go to, including the PUC's website and the Power to Choose. So if you have somebody that really wants to know where to go, tell them to go to lpnl.com first. Finally, I'll just run through. You've seen, I think, these before, but this is what it's going to look like in terms of our message, what we will do and what we won't do. And again, the biggest questions that I'm getting outside of just how do I pick a provider and what should I look for, it's falling to what is the role that LPNL is going to play? And is this structure different than we've seen it in other markets? And I continue to explain that if you're anywhere in the competitive market, this is the structure. One entity is going to deliver that power to you in the light blue. Another entity you're going to choose, and they're going to buy your power for you. So we'll continue to stress that because even after go live, you're going to have questions of people going, I don't know, am I paying twice? Why is LPNL here? Those types of questions are going to remain. So we're going to have to continue to keep answering that. Obviously, we'll direct them through our website and public presentations where to go for more information. You've seen all of these things. I will, okay, let's see. One other thing I was going to point out. I thought that I'd switched out this slide, but apparently I hadn't. That was the pricing when we were doing all of our presentations in April and May compared to our price. If you look at it today, the pricing in the market, it's more close to where we are today. These low-cost offerings are now starting at 10, 11, 12 cents. Our hope is that as we go through the next few months, This pricing will remain good so our customers can see a nice stair step down, but we'll continue to monitor, and if prices change in the market, we'll adapt our messaging so folks know. But the most important thing to tell people is, if you go to powertochoose.org and you're going to sign up, before you sign up, please check the electricity facts label. That's going to tell you where all your costs are going to come from. It's going to tell you what your deposit policy is, what happens if you break a contract. That continues to be one of the biggest things that we're going to need to push, because again, that type of information is what we're getting over and over and over again, and they're required to give you that by law. So we'll continue that type of education, but that's kind of a rough shot of what the next, few months look like as we move through this.
Hey, Matt, can I ask a question?
Sure.
On the contract terms, does all the providers, I know we discussed that earlier, have contract terms?
Yes, sir.
And are they like 12 months to 24 months to?
Well, it varies. I mean, you can get, 6-month deals, 12-month deals. You can get, there's some that will offer 60-month deals. Sometimes your pricing is going to be directly correlated with how long of a contract you sign. But they're all going to have different terms. It's going to tell you the length of your term up front in your all-in package, but it's going to tell you more on that sheet. The only kind of example where you don't have a term is that there will be providers, or at least one, that will do a prepaid package, in which case you're loading, like a calling card, you're loading up a certain amount of money on your meter and running it till it's out, so there's no contract. But otherwise, there'll be contract terms. Yes, sir.
And at the end of the contract, are those terms automatically renewable, or does the customer have to go out and renew them themselves?
They'll have to renew. They'll have to renew when that contract's up. And so, you'll have some folks that will just roll over with their provider and sign a new term. You'll have other folks that'll venture out and go do. Some people will sign up with companies that they pay a monthly subscription to, $9.99 or so, that monitor and will do that for them. So that's another option that we'll highlight. Not necessary, but I think for some, especially businesses, it'd be a advisable thing to do if they don't closely monitor their usage.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, will you have something that is kind of like, for lack of a better word, the Dave Letterman top 10 questions to ask?
Yes,
How
ma'am.
long does my contract last? Does it cost me to get out? Does it cost me to make a call? Or are we going to have that on our website? And
Yes,
the
ma'am.
the libraries are helping making things accessible to folks that don't have computers. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Libraries have been helping us since last spring. In fact, I had the head of libraries contact me not too long ago just to make sure that they're still downloading the right information to pass out, because people are continuously coming in and getting it, which is a good sign. So yes, we'll have that. But outside of that larger shopping guide, we also have made various forms of one-pagers and brochures. But in all of those, your top questions to ask it's the most important thing. The FAQs list on our website has now gotten long enough that we've added a search tool. If it shows you kind of how many questions we put out there. So we want to narrow it down to your point of that top 10. So they don't have to go through, but they can just, if nothing else, I know I need a calculator, I need 12 months of billing history, and I need to ask these 3 questions, something of that nature.
What's the shortest term of a contract and the longest of the ones you have seen?
3 months?
3 months, usually they're at least 90 days.
Yeah, 3 months I think is the shortest that I've
Is the
seen.
shortest,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
then they go to 12 months, or?
12 months, and I've seen folks out there that have offered 60-month deals. Now, they may be kind of more specific reps that are working with businesses and they want to lock something in, but they can run those kind of longer terms. I think what we're trying to really get folks to look at is, if the pricing is good, like a 12-month contract, something like that, so that you're not just immediately in and out. But the folks that get defaulted, that don't choose, they'll go to those 3 reputable providers for 90 days before they sign on currently. So we'll have folks right at the start that are on 3-month deals, almost assured that we'll have some folks that are like that, and we'll have to re-sign pretty quickly.
Any other questions of Matt? And I know that some city members would like to maybe have more town meetings.
Yes.
either before the window or during the window, and you'll be working with those individuals, correct?
Yes, working with the council members to write op-eds, to schedule these district meetings with them. On our website, I mentioned the schedule of the public events, and like I say, all of those district meetings will for sure be on there and will be heavily promoted. And then on the city side, they're coming out and they're filming those and they're running them on their various different channels at the city. So if somebody doesn't come to the event, they can watch it online. But no, the district meetings have proven to be one of the most valuable things that we do. So hopefully we'll get one, if not more, in every district here in the next 90 days.
Thank you, Matt.
Awesome. Thank you.
Happy skating. Number 9 is that Casey's here to tell us all about the numbers.
Yes, ma'am.
And what page do you want us to be on?
Oh, I don't have my slide printout. Well, I could just do it like this. 29, 30, and 32 is what we're going to start with. So we'll start with our balance sheet and our cash flows and our ratios. So looking at our cash, we see we have an increase of $38.2 million from July to August. If you look at our cash flows, you can see that in our operating cash, we have a positive cash flow of $9.5 million. So I told y'all last month that there was a lag on payments because we had to stop doing disconnects, and I'm sure people were going on payment arrangements, but you can see now we're starting to see those payments catch back up and come back in from the customers. In our financing activities, financing activities, we have a negative cash flow of $3.1 million. The majority of that is going to be our CIP spending. We'll be refunded about $1.8 million of that on bonds in September. And then in our investing activities, you can see that this is the majority of where our cash came from. It's positive cash flow of $32 million. So I told y'all last month that we were behind on our bond refunding on CIP expenses from May to July, and that was about $12 million of this. And then I also told y'all that we had another $20 million that we had found where our debt service reserve was funded out of our cash rather than our bond proceeds that were designated to fund that. So that was moved back from our restricted to our unrestricted in August. Going back to the balance sheet, I wanted to point out one thing. So in our restricted investments on our balance sheet, you can see that $31 million decrease. So you can see that actual movement of cash from the restricted to the unrestricted. Our liabilities overall only increased $1.5 million. The majority of that is going to be accrued interest payable. We did have a $6 million increase in our overcollection, but that was kind of washed out by our $6 million decrease in AP, and that's due to lower purchase power costs we had from July to August. Overall, our net position has increased $3.4 million since last month, and we have increased our net position $20.4 million since October 1. Moving on to our ratios, you can see that our days cash has increased from 91 to 142. And that's going to be a direct result of us moving all that cash from restricted to unrestricted. Our operating ratio has decreased from 0.843 to 0.841, and that's going to be a result of the lower purchase power costs we had in August. And then finally, our current ratio went from 2.31 to 2.90, and again, that's going to be from that movement of cash from restricted to unrestricted, because what we did was we moved, the asset from a non-current asset to a current asset. Okay, moving on to our income statement. So at this point, we should be at about 92% of our budget. And as you can see in our purchase fuel and power and our charges for services, they're both coming in right at budget. Our ERCOT hold harmless payment is coming in right at budget, and our TCOS revenue is a little over budget, but I told y'all last month we had a higher 4CP, so that number is going to be slightly over budget by year end. Our departmental expenses are still under budget by 12%, and overall, our operating income is above budget. It's at 124%. Does anybody have any questions for me?
I think you took care of them. Thank you, Casey.
Thank y'all.
Number 10, is that you, Harvey?
I'm still on number 9.
Oh, you're
Still on number 9, I'm just
you're still in the money.
This is 9B. There isn't a 9B, but it's 9B. So 2 things I just want to mention to the board, and one's going to be where we're at with our bonds. So now that we've gotten the FERC approval, we've got the FERC approval as of September 28th, and we've got that 30-day period that will take us through October 30th. Technically, it's the 29th, but that's a Sunday, so it effectively becomes the 30th. So at that point, we have an uncontestable resolution, uncontestable agreement by FERC. So we've passed our regulatory hurdles on that piece, and so now triggers all the bond issuance. So as soon as things start to move fairly quickly on the bond front, on the regulatory front, we've been working since last month on pulling together and making sure that our money's going to be available for our payment to SPS. That's scheduled on January 15th. So what we've done so far is we've pulled together our underwriter team. We have our bond, I call it our bond team. So RBC, Matt Bowles and Julie McMillan will be our financial advisors on this. Ora Carrington will be our bond counsel. We have our underwriters. They'll be participating in it. It'll be the same set of underwriters that helped us the last time, did a fantastic job. We happened to catch, hopefully luck helps a little bit, because we caught a little dip in the rates just as they were screaming up. They popped down, we got it, and then they went back up again. Hopefully we can catch a little bit of that. As far as what we also brought before the board on the 17th last month, just about with an up to limit, basically to give us permission to go out and do that borrowing. The city council approved that with a notice of intent. So we've got this 5-week period that we have to give a public notice. So if you look in your paper on every Friday, you'll see a little note in there about our bond with an up to of $80 million. So that'll be going on from October 6th through November 3rd. We've got to do 5 of those. And then on November 7th, we have before the city council our parameters ordinance. And the difference between the ordinance on the 26th that the city council passed and the parameters ordinance is, one is just the notice of intent that we need to borrow up to. The parameters ordinance is where we get very specific that says, this is what we are going to borrow. So that amount that we have for right now, the principal piece of it for the payment is going to be $64.5 million. The total borrowing we think is going to come closer to $70 million, and again, it's the 64.5 plus your reserve amount, which is usually around 10% of that. Usually around 10% of that. So we'll have another $6 million that'll need to be set aside for that piece. So it'll take us right up to about, and then you have issuance cost, which is a couple $100,000. They're not cheap. So that'll probably take us up to a parameters ordinance, should take us around in the $70 million mark. Bond rates right now are they're definitely going to be higher than they were before. So we're still looking at a number that's going to be right around maybe 4.5%. Our issuance last year for our 2022 for our $63 million was at 3.67%. Again, we will probably hit something about 4.5%, hopefully less than that, but that's about where we're going. The bond market's been really fairly harsh lately. If you've seen the news, especially on the banking side, you've seen bond interest rates and treasury kind of going crazy right now. And we would look forward to doing the bond issuance either on November 15th, or it's going to be the week following and the week of November 27th, that first week. The very tail end after Thanksgiving, next week after that, we would do a bond issuance. We would look for bond proceeds to come to us in mid to late December, and then we would make the payment in January 15th. So that's what we're looking at with on the bond front. And I just wanted to also put a note out. We're ready for the Finance Review Committee that's going to be next Monday on the 23rd at 11 o'clock up on the second floor. This is going to be our chance to, and this is what dovetails into what Casey was talking about. As that money has come in, as you've seen that, and it's going to stay there, and we've got some additional funds coming in, it's a pointed decision for us to say, when we've got this money, as we're moving into a new setting, what are the strategies that are available to us and the options before the board on what to do with those funds? Because it's great to have a lot of funds, but it's important to know what your plan is to do with them. So we'll talk about, that's going to be the point of this Finance Review Committee, is just how much funds do we have available? What are the things we could do with that would be beneficial for the utility and for our ratepayers? And we'll look at that on Monday. That's what I've got. Any questions?
Any
On the
questions
bond or
of-
on the?
on the bond? So November 7th is when you will do the parameters
That's correct.
for the city council.
That's correct. And that's not to be confused with the change in the ordinance that allows us to move our reserve requirements. So there, we've got two different things, so.
Right.
Okay.
Number 10, who is doing that? Michael. Okay. Coming out of chute number 10, right?
47,
Okay.
thereabouts, and I don't have any slides. Got a lot of notes here. So what we're talking about is the polar event. So what we need to, because this is going to be confusing, especially with what I'm going to talk about in number 11, so this is a little bit out of order. So in our minds, we need to think of after we're in the market. So we've already transferred all the customers, 100% of the customers in with a rep of some kind. If there's a mass transition event or a polar event, which is what we like to call it, and those can be caused by a rep going out of business, a bigger rep acquiring a smaller rep, or sometimes a rep that needs to be a little more liquid in their cash will sell off a block of customers. So we have to have this mass transition from one rep to our polar reps that we assigned with our RFQ back earlier in the year. Okay? So what we're going to do, what we're asking you all to approve is, what we're asking you all to approve is we want to voluntarily adopt the ERCOT polar process. ERCOT has these procedures. They've been used in the market for years, and they've been fine-tuned. They've been used as recently as URI. And it's just how we go about transitioning those customers from one rep to another. We have some things to do. ERCOT has some duties in the process, and so do the reps. And then there's timelines because it has to be done timely. I think the first timeline may be 48 hours. We have to have our part done. And then there may be a 5-day, we have to have the next part done. So it's pretty strenuous because these customers can't go without an electric service provider. So that being said, and I'm trying to paint this picture for you, we as an MOU don't neatly fall into the rules that PUC has outlined for this. And so there was some uncertainty. A lot of the reps were asking us in our monthly ERCOT meetings of, hey, are y'all going to do this? And if you look in the ERCOT retail market guide that tells us how we're supposed to do everything, Chapter 7's outlined how all the IOUs participate. Well, electric cooperatives and MOUs are outlined in Chapter 8, and there's no polar process in there at all. So at PUC and at ERCOT, there's no clear definition of how we're wanting to do this. So by adopting the rules that ERCOT already has in place, we're just kind of making it clear to the reps, clear to ERCOT, clear to the PUC and all the public that, hey, we're going to follow this established procedure that's been in process. This is the procedure how ERCOT's been doing it. And so this is, if there's an event, a mass transition or a polar event, we're going to follow the normal rules. So all that to say is, because of we don't neatly fall under the rules, specifically with the jurisdiction of PUC and MOUs, municipalities, we thought it best to just let's go ahead and take it before the board, take it before the council, and it'll clean that up a little bit for everybody in the market. So.
Anybody have any questions? Then I'll entertain a motion that for number 10 that we use the PUC process for the polars. Do I hear a motion to that effect?
Chair, I will move that motion for you.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there a second? Are there any questions about using the PUC process for the polar? If not, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, I think I'm 11 as well.
Are you number 11 too?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, you're still here.
I'm still here, sorry. Sometimes, I'm the best we got. So the next part is going to be for our D-rep assignment. Now, let's back up from where we just were. This is the confusing part of all this. So we're gonna have the open shopping window starting in January, mid-February. All the customers who don't voluntarily choose need to be assigned to a rep. What we have outlined through Ashley and some of the contractors, the project team, we've kind of outlined a step-by-step procedure, and this is required, we're required to file this. So it's just showing that we're being an open and honest and fair process through it all. So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna pull a list of customers that are active in our system and have not, we haven't received a move-in from a rep for, about 2 weeks before the market opens. And then we're gonna divide that list by customer class, so we're gonna put all the residentials in a file, or in a pile, all the small commercial or the large commercials in a pile. Then we're gonna divide each of those up into 3 groups because we have 3 default reps. And then we're gonna randomly choose which rep gets each list. And then there's some requirements that we have to send them a file, and then they will send us move-ins. So it's gonna be a similar process, but we're gonna randomly choose. I think we're either gonna use a random number generator off the internet to assign, or we may draw from a hat, so it is completely random. But, you know, and then the other caveat into this too, so if one customer has multiple accounts, all of those will go with the same rep. We're not gonna divide up customers in their multiple accounts. So like large property owners and Texas Tech's not gonna, surely Texas Tech's gonna pick, but, you know, those types of places are gonna go together. So again, I'm asking you all to approve this process that we've outlined, and we will take it to council if you guys approve it, or if you have any questions.
So basically, those that don't sign up, these are the people that go, I'm not doing anything.
Right.
They're divided up into these groups, and then they're just gonna be randomly assigned. So that's the process you're asking us to approve.
Yes,
By this resolution.
that's correct.
Okay. Everybody clear? Anybody, do I hear a motion to the effect?
That's right. And that, to be noted, this process will only be used once.
Right.
After this is done, we'll toss it out, and we'll never have to use it again in our lives.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to that effect? Mr. Schultz, second by Mr. Fields. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, no. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Number 12, is that, oh, here he comes, our guy.
That would be me.
That would be you.
Thank you for having me. The
Thank you,
purpose
Clint.
that I am here today is to talk about the number of reps that we have, and for y'all to determine that it is a sufficient amount. I will be talking about item number, starts on 54, the summary, and then goes into the resolution after that. Here's one slide that I have that I will present to you. As of the posting of this resolution, we have 41 brand name DBAs. That will be 41 reps serving in our, that have signed up to serve in the retail competition for Lubbock in the certified area here. That represents 27 retailers, 11 parent companies. Of those 41, 32 will be ready to go on day one. After that, the other 9 will be coming in throughout the year once they get their system ready. So 32 starting out. I will note that other cities our size have anywhere from 35 to 37. So we do deem that we do have enough people to, enough companies to do retail competition. So we would we would recommend that you approve our proposed resolution determining that condition 7 in the customer choice resolution that you adopted on February 15th, 2022 be for the sufficiency of the number of reps be approved, and that the condition has been met for that number.
Are there any questions of Clint? This is about the sufficiency of retail providers that are part of the resolution that we passed in 2022, and our resolution will go to the city council, correct?
That is correct.
All right. Any questions? Is there a motion to that effect? Mr. Davis and Dr.
Second.
Gonzalez seconds. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, no. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Clint. Good job. Have fun. Keep that website updated. Number 13, we have a resolution for us to consider about recommending a new member of this board for a vacancy. Is there a motion to that effect?
Madam Chairman, I move that we consider the nomination of Craig Ryan, Dr. Craig Ryan, to be added to the board to fill Petra Gamble's term.
Okay, is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Mr. Horville seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. All those who say no, please say so. Not, the motion carries 7-0, and that recommendation will go to the next city council member meeting. Number 14, we are tabling consent agenda. Does anyone want to remove anything and vote separately on anything on the consent agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda 15, 16, and 17.
Chair, I will move that we approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Davis, second. Mr. Wilson, all those in favor, please say aye. Motion carry. All those against, no. All those, the motion carries 7-0. And Joel's favorite part, we're out of here. We're adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen.